And welcome in to Tennessee Tuesday. It's Tuesday evening at June the 30th, the final day of the month of June. Getting ready to get into July, and it's hot here in Tennessee and hot all across the South. We're seeing temperatures today in the mid to upper 90s across most of West Tennessee, and those heat index values as high as 109. Guys, it has been hot, and we are glad to have you with us. I'm your host, John Blankenship, joined by my co-host, Jason Boshears, this evening. And our special guest tonight is the Second Lieutenant Commander of the Tennessee Division, Sean Hill, who has a special program tonight. We'll tell you more about that coming up in just a little while as we'll jump into an interesting topic for you tonight. But as we get started out, we need to go ahead with our disclaimer. Jason, if you want to pop that up for us. We will tell you tonight that the views and opinions that you hear on this broadcast are solely our own, not those of the SCV, its GEC, any divisions, brigades, or camps of our organization, totally our own views tonight. Our disclaimer is done, and now let me officially welcome him in, Mr. Jason Boshears, tonight. If I had an applause ready, I would give it, so there he is. He's live and in person. Nobody heard our applause. It was silent, but Jason is here. Jason, show us the book that you have tonight. You have a book. It's not about you, but I want to show it. She does a great job in this book here. You need to pick up a copy. And Sean's going to be talking about things about this tonight. If that gives you any kind of hint what we might be talking about. But that is not the Jason, but that is a donkey. And we are in no way tonight going to say Jason is a donkey. There you go. What an interesting way to start out the evening.
Very polite. Thank you.
Jason, we try to be nice to you. We pick at you every once in a while. Well, we probably pick at you all the time. But again, Jason, what's happening in Middle Tennessee? What's going on in the big city of Mount Pleasant this evening?
Hot. Just like you were talking about. We've had and everything's just really busy going on. There's a lot of things going on at General Headquarters. As you know, we're all getting ready for a reunion. We've had a lot of movement lately concerning the rebuild of the Jefferson Davis monument, and some real movement on the getting bids for the Forest Equestrian Plaza, that whole rebuild. So you're going to be seeing
there. And I think you're going to talk a little more about that towards the end of our show. We can talk about some updates if you've got for us tonight. And then we'll also talk a little bit about work that's been going on at the Nathan Bedford Forest Boyhood Home site. We've got some photographs to show you. I know you've been out there. Sean has been out there to see the work that has started there with the pavilion. There's materials on site, and they're starting that work. We'll kind of break that down for you later on in the show as well. But as we jump in, let's say hello to a few folks tonight that are coming on with us. Randy from Union City is our first one to comment for us tonight. Randy, hope all is well up that way. And as we start out the show, guys, and as Randy has left us that comment as commander of Camp 176, I do want to mention the passing of a SCV member in the Tennessee Division, Mr. John Abernathy, that you see there on the left. That's from a few years ago when he received one of the awards in the division. A longtime member, a former camp commander there in Union City, passed away a couple of weeks ago. And I want to say our thoughts and prayers are with all of them in Union City, his family and friends as well. John, a great guy, got to know him over the years. And my first national reunion was in Memphis that I got to go to, and John was down there with us. And he rode down with me and Dad to Memphis that time. So some good memories there. And John was a great guy and had some rough days here at the end, but was truly a son of a Confederate soldier. He was a great-grandson, but he loved his Confederate ancestry and did so much in Obion County, tracing all those Confederate veterans that are buried there. I think in his list that we hope to be able to acquire, he went through every cemetery that he could find in Obion County to identify those Confederate soldiers. And I know he wanted that published, and hopefully that's still available out there. And I know Barry Sowell and others are working on that to acquire that. And wouldn't that be great if we could make that available for all his work and dedication and restoration in cemeteries? He was doing that when I first joined the SCV in Union City, and we're going to miss Mr. John. And he was a Christian man, and so we know where he's at tonight. So we'll definitely miss John Abernathy. But wanted to start the show out and mention him this evening. Also want to say hello to Mr. Charles LeRae joining us tonight as he's on with us this evening. Some others, Daniel Brooks, of course, joining us there from. I want to make sure I say this right. Now, guys, y'all help me because different places say it different things. Is it Elizabethtown, Elizabethton? Am I saying it right? It's in Kentucky, Camp 1703. I don't want to mess with the pronunciation.
They call it E-Town, but the full pronunciation is Elizabethtown.
Okay.
If it was Elizabethan, it would be THON because there's a THON that they call Elizabethan.
I want to make sure I get it right because if you're in West Tennessee, we have some towns that are pronounced funny, even though they're not spelled that way. Yes. We'll make sure we get it right. But we're glad to have Daniel, of course, on, one of our regular viewers. Derek Glover joining us tonight as he's been traveling all around. Let's see, people crashing into power poles back here. That's not good. And those that are working out in that heat. We had a little power outage here in West Tennessee last night. TBA had some issues, so thinking about those linemen and those crews that are out there having to work.
Yes.
Keeping our electricity on and keeping us cool. Josh Dowdy joining us tonight again from Gallatin. Hope all is well up that way. Al joining us from Tullahoma. He's on with us every week. We always appreciate his viewership. Rich Garcia is joining us, of course. I know Rich, we talked to him last night, Sean, and he'd been out working in this heat in the yard in his 5 acres. Man, I'm glad I have somebody doing our yard. I feel for those folks that are doing that. But good to have Rich on as always. Derek Glover jumping in there, and he's mentioned in the book we were showing by Miss Joyce Shoemate wrote that book, and a wonderful lady. I've got to meet her several times over the years, and that was the book we were referencing. Not particularly the book, but the picture of the book and Jason, but we'll leave that alone, and we'll be nice. Roy Hudson joining us tonight from Florida. Hope Roy and Linda are doing well. Hope they're staying cool down that way. And we'll see them and others, and Charles, of course, too. We'll see them at the national reunion as they're both seeking an office. This Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief of the organization. And we'll see them on Election Day, of course, on Saturday of the reunion. Corey Clark joining us tonight from Knoxville. Good to have Corey on with us this evening. My friend Chuck Roadhouse. I'm going to say Roadhouse. I'm thinking about eating like one of those Roadhouse places. Chuck Roadhouse joining us tonight. Hope he's doing well up there in Middle Tennessee. A few other folks from the 5th Brigade, of course. I hope everybody is well down in Mississippi. doing good in the Mississippi Division. David Pope joining us tonight there in beautiful and hot evening in the Valley of East Tennessee. It's hot everywhere. Still 92 here. I haven't looked in the temperature in a while, guys, but it's probably holding still. Also, we want to mention this. Danny Langston sharing here. He's the new Lieutenant Brigade Commander for the Memphis Brigade in the Tennessee Division there. The Forest Birthday Celebration coming up on July the 11th. That's at 10 o'clock there, and we'll have some details we'll share as well. Also, David Daniels joining us tonight. Hope David is good. Kyle Thompson checking in here. He's late again. Well, he's early this time. We're only 10 minutes past the hour. Last time it was like 45 minutes late.
Mm-hmm.
But it's better to be late than never. So we're glad to have Kentucky Division Commander Kyle Thompson joining us tonight. And Kyle, we are going to mention an event that you're putting together, and the Tennessee Division is going to be a part of in August at Fort Donaldson. We'll talk about that a little bit later on tonight. I need to get you on the show, too, to talk about that event. And maybe we'll talk a little wrestling, too. A little Hulkamania. Sean McFall joining us tonight. Florida man checking in. Hope all is well down his way. Always does a great show on Wednesday night. Enjoy watching his program, and a great job is always. And let's see if we missed anybody. Miss Linda Hudson, I know she's there with Roy tonight, checking in as well from her page. Good to have her on. James Price joining us, Commander Price from the Ike Stone Camp in Henderson. And one more, past Commander-in-Chief Tom Strain joining us tonight. He's back with us, hot in North Alabama. It is hot everywhere. And we are glad you're watching with us tonight, TennesseeTuesday.com, if you'd like to go back and watch past episodes. Well, I have said a lot here the first 10 minutes of the show, so we need to go ahead and jump in and welcome our guest tonight, Sean Hill, who is, you probably already know, he's the second lieutenant commander of the Tennessee Division. He's been on with us many times, and I reached out to Sean and Rich as well, and I asked him, I said, guys, we need to do a program, a history program this time. Which one do you want to do? And Sean jumped up to the plate, and he said he has a good one for us, so he's got a good program we're going to do after our first break. But Sean, welcome in tonight.
Good evening, gentlemen.
I hope things are well up that way. Hope you're staying cool. And, of course, since Sean has been on with us, he's upgrading his studio there. He's got some different lighting tonight with us. And I see some good-looking flags. I know the Tennessee secession flag behind you, Sean. What's the other one?
North Carolina flag. North Carolina infantry flag.
I like that.
You know, one of my ancestors was a lieutenant colonel in the 52nd North Carolina, and that is the 25th North Carolina because I can't find one of theirs. So that's the closest I could get.
Closest you can get to it. Well, it's a good-looking flag. Those are both good-looking flags there behind us tonight. So, Sean, let's talk a couple of things. Jason, you've got those photographs. Before we get into his program after the first break, let's go ahead and talk about the Forest Hall tonight, because I know everybody's been asking questions. What's the status of it? Those that were at the homecoming event got to see the construction site, but more has happened in just in the last week or so with materials coming on site for the construction of the pavilion portion. That you saw some work being done on the museum office area that had already started. Gene has been working on, but the division has helped put together the main Forest Hall, the pavilion part, the largest open portion of that structure. And I know both of you guys have been on site, and Sean, you want to jump in and kind of tell what's been happening out that way, and then Jason can jump in as well. He's got some photographs.
Well, I'll let Jason go first. So,
okay, Sean, whatever makes you happy. Or you can talk about this picture. I took this one today. You can see when you're looking at that picture, that on the left, you see the structure they've started on. That's the office part. If you look to the left, that's the whole part in front of that. What you're looking at there is going to be the bathroom area. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be a whole section in front of that that's going to be about Forrest and all of his campaigns that he's been on. But if you'll look just to the right of that, you'll see some of the beams that are laying down. There's going to be an open-air pavilion where that wall finishes. There's going to be an open-air pavilion, all of that in the back. And that open-air pavilion, we're going to have some brackets to hold it up. And we had to have these special brackets made. We've got 2 big crates full of them. And we had to have those special made. So, to carry the size of the beams.
And that delayed the process a little bit, Jason, I know, as they had to have those custom made.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had to go through some more engineering on it had to bring an engineer in. He told us what we needed and actually how they needed to be fastened. Not just how the brackets are fastened to the concrete,
Sure.
but how the wood's going to be fastened to the brackets. And he had to do some special designing on that. And you can see the size of these beams. You see the 4 bolts that are up there. The brackets are going to fit on that. The wood beams are going to fit on. And that's just them laying everything out. Of course, as you know, when you start this, you have to saw the bottom off to get it level, get it even, and then get it set to all of them set to a length. And that's what they spent today doing. They started bringing the stuff out on Thursday of last week, and they started construction yesterday, putting the bolts in. And then they come back today, and they were starting to put it up.
It's looking good. We're excited to see progress. Took us a little time to get there. A lot of funds have been raised to this, guys. The Tennessee division has chipped in as well towards this as the council voted to do, but a lot of donations came into this from all over the Confederation to help with this project. So we can't give credit only just to the Tennessee division. We've coordinated that, but there's been our membership and even outside of the membership that has donated to make this happen. So we're excited to see this get completed. And Sean, me and you were talking just the other night, the opportunity it's going to have for us and the possibilities that just open up when we have our annual homecoming event, the space we'll have to set up. Right. And our long-term goal is to enclose this space.
Yes, it is. We plan to use that for our silent auction and our speakers next year if we can. And that'll save us a little. We won't have to be renting tents. And eventually there's going to be a kitchen and an office area in there too. And I know that the kitchen area will come in handy for storing supplies that we have to carry back and forth and stuff.
It's a big investment, but it's a worthwhile. It's going to make that property, in my opinion, guys, so much more usable. It's a great hit. Of course, the historic house is restored to a period. We don't want to use it for office and storage space. We want it to be a museum space itself to be able to be toured. So this opens up many possibilities. And as in the future, you look to have weddings out there and other events where folks could rent the property, as that opens up, this will make that even a more valuable property that people have. If you're going to host a wedding, if it rains, you need an inside place to do that. And in time, that will be there. So the opportunities it opens up not only for the SCV, but for future events, for fundraising for that property. So excited to see progress being made. Shout out to Gene Andrews. I know both of you guys said he's been out there today.
Yeah.
Working in this heat. And as we've talked about, we mentioned his birthday. Gene's 80.
80.
And Gene can outwork, I think, everybody I know. And he's out there dedicated to that. So thanks to him and all those. Levi, I know, is out there, and there's many others that work to maintain that beautiful property. So we had a good time, good fundraiser, guys. I know we mentioned a little bit of that last week. Good fundraiser. We raised good funds for the organization and for that site, which the funds come in, go towards the upkeep of that.
Right.
Our annual fundraiser and our homecoming event. So thank you for everybody that came out and participated, and hope you had a good time.
Bigger and better next year.
That's the thing. Always grow, continue moving forward, and doing good things, and good stuff's happening out there. And we've had feedback from folks, and we asked several. I know I did, and y'all did probably as well. What would you like to see different? What would you like to see taken away? What would you like to see added? And we've got some ideas, so we'll continue to work on that and make it even better every year. So a good time, and appreciate all those that purchased booth space. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what all we do. And I hope they were successful in their fundraising efforts too, and got to meet a lot of good folks. So next year we're looking forward to it.
Next year will be the 25th. So it's kind of a milestone. I don't know what anniversary that is. I've never been good at keeping up with that. If that's paper or plastic or whatever it is, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to do something special for the 25th.
We'll have to get a cake, I guess.
I'm thinking like a monument to Gene and Sean out there, something like that.
Oh, no.
Like a monument of y'all.
But I did tell somebody that they can always put my ashes, a little bit of my ashes in there with radar when I go. So
there you go. It'd be a good place to do it. I'm going to share this comment, Derek, here, and he is so right. It's so hot. Y'all can read that. Even the trees are bribing dogs.
Yeah.
So if you get what he's saying, I'm not going to describe it to you. I hope everybody gets that. Yeah, it's hot. Of course, Kyle telling us the event's getting huge, and we're going to mention that later. Jason, I will buy the shirt for you to wear if you do that. If you will get up there and you will do the Hulkamania tear.
Y'all don't want to see that.
I pay money.
Y'all don't want to see that. That's what you call science fiction right there. You don't want to. No.
I'm thinking even better. I told Kyle at National Reunion, since Kentucky's hosting, if he could pull off something like that. Some might like it, some might not. Now, maybe if we could talk Jason into doing that, if you get some time on the floor, Jason, you have like a Forest Mania shirt and you tear it from the. Yeah.
Y'all are going to end up getting me thrown out of the SCV before
there'd be disciplinary action taken on that. I think everybody would vote for that.
I've got some of those old Forest T-shirts that were made wrong and had Forest in the blue colored uniform.
I've got a couple of them, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not in a hurry to get thrown out.
Yeah, I like what Kyle said. He'll call him up when it's his turn to speak. That'd be the time to do it. Yeah. Well, we need to institute a rule: no photographs to be made during that time. Yeah.
Yes.
We don't want that to get out. Well, we're trying to be serious tonight. Thank you for watching with us. We're up to our first break. We need to talk about our sponsors. Then we're going to come back and talk more with Sean Hill. We'll be talking about Confederate mascots. This, and you'll kind of see why we showed that Jason picture earlier on the book. We're going to be talking about mascots. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. I believe we've got 5 of those tonight we're going to talk about. And Sean's going to give us a presentation after the break, but we do need to tell you about our sponsors tonight. Again, if you would like to become a Patreon sponsor, it's really easy to do. Just go to scbchat.com, and while you're there, you can go and learn about the Patreon options there. And Jason, tell us a little bit about the different levels that you can become a sponsor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commander. You can start out the $2.50 level. They call that the Feed the Moose level. And that's just basic. That's just helping us keep the shows going. Mm-hmm. And then you have the $10 a month level. And at the $10 a month levels, when you start to receive different things, you start getting at the real chathead level. And at that level, you start to get the behind scenes stuff. If they're planning shows, you get to hear about it ahead of time. And you know what's going, you get emails and all of that on it. Then they have the $30 a month level. The $30 a month is a sponsor level. At that level, you start to get things that even the show's creators, Harrison and Connor, they don't get. You get special merchandise just for that, which is wonderful. And then you have the $80 a month level. And those gentlemen, those people, those organizations, they are the show sponsor levels. And do we want to start with our beloved doctor?
Yeah, let's start and talk about Dr. Cummings tonight. Of course, modern medicine, Southern hospitality. We've been telling you about him for a long time. First met Dr. Cummings when he was in Jackson practicing a few years ago. Now he's back in Oxford, Mississippi, there to serve you. You see his website, cmc-md.org. You can go learn about all the specialties he has. And I understand that if you're dealing with knee pain, and in this hot temperature and us with arthritis and stuff like that, know what that's like. Go talk to Dr. Cummings, pay him a visit in Mississippi. He'll help you find solutions to those issues you have. So we appreciate Dr. Chris Cummings being one of our show sponsors here on Tennessee Tuesday. And Jason, tell us about 31st Reg Engraving.
Yes, this is by California Division Commander Todd Terry. And as you can see, the number of artifacts they have right there, and you can go to 31streg engraving.com, 31st Regiment Engraving. And it is wonderful artifacts that they have. Southern, they specialize in engraving Southern themed items and custom laser engraved gifts. You'll see the challenge coin that they have here. We have the earrings. You will hear Harrison or Moose talk about the wristband that he has that is for his ancestor. And that is all made possible by Todd Terry He is the California Division Commander. Go to 31STREG Engraving and talk to him. Get you something on order, because you might have time to get him to bring it to National Reunion for you.
Possible, yes. 31stRegengraving.com to go and learn more. Of course, past Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney, been a longtime sponsor since the early days, of course, our show and SCB Chat. His latest book is Paradox of Freedom, A History of Black Slaveholders in America. An excellent work that Larry has put together. He's been on the show with us and talked more detail about the book, and he even talked some about it at the Forest Homecoming event as he spoke to the crowd there. And I know you might not have a copy of that yet, and if you do not, you can go to booksbylarry.com and order yours. And I believe as he has time, he signs most of his books that he ships out himself from his website at booksbylarry.com. And there's other books that he has written, and upcoming works will be found there as well. So we appreciate Larry McClooney being our sponsor on Tennessee Tuesday. And now we've got Beauregard's Tailor. And Jason, tell us about the different products they offer.
Yes, a family-owned business offering authentic war between the states reproductions, such as T-shirts, flags, lapel pins, a lot of artifacts, a lot of items like that. Now, they used to do uniforms. I think they still might have a few pieces left, but you can give them a call, or you can visit Beauregard'sTailor.shop, and you can see what all that they have to offer. They have some fantastic merchandise. I know a lot of people like their stickers and things like that. But I have seen their reproduction flags, and I've seen their lapel pins, and they are very good at what they do. So visit Beauregard'sTailor.shop.
Also, our next sponsor is Museum at Market Hall in Charleston, South Carolina. They've been there since 1899. First saw this museum at our national reunion in Charleston a few years back, and they are available to you, a very top quality museum and some great artifacts in there. And then this next slide here shows us a picture of the building and more that you can learn. They've got a neat shop there that you can purchase different items. Their website is museumatmarkethall.com. You can go there and learn how you can become a member, help sponsor the museum, purchase items from their gift shop. And again, they're open Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 11 until 4. And of course, their motto is, if the flag is out, we are open. Now, Sam Davis Home and Museum, our next sponsor. And Jason, I know you know a lot about this property. As some exciting news I saw they released today, as they received a grant from the Tennessee State Museum for the restoration of the windows and on the second floor and some other things on the property. I believe it was close to $100,000, if memory serves me right, that they received, which will help with the restoration of these windows. Jason, tell us about the Sam Davis Home.
Yes, and it's such a wonderful to receive this grant. You know, you have a 200-year-old home. They still have the original windows, the original panes, and it takes quite a bit to get these windows rebuilt. And it takes a lot to just maintain a 200-year-old home. And we've done, through other grants, we've been able to do a few of the other windows. Now we're getting the rest of them done, taking care of the flashings. There's a lot of things that has to go into taking care of this home. Now, this was Sam's home. He wasn't born in this house. He moved into this house on this property when he was about 5. He was essentially raised here. You can go to the property. You can see the spot where he tied his horse up to the rock. You can go to his gravesite. You can walk up to his parents' bedroom window where he tapped on. You can walk around the property. You can get a sense of the grandeur of it. You can go inside the home. You go inside the home. First room there on the right was the parlor. That was where he laid in state. If you go upstairs, you'll be able to see the girls' rooms, and you can see when they said what they did about Sam's mom, when they heard the wagon coming up. She heard the wagon. She walked out, saw Sam's coffin, and collapsed there in the girls' room. And then you can go visit the museum, and you can see the letter that he left for his mother and father. And you can see a film about Sam Davis, and they have a great gift shop that is there. There's a lot to do there on the property. Plan on taking a couple of hours. Don't think I'm going to do this in 10 minutes. You know, take you a couple of hours and really get to enjoy the facility. It's a great facility.
course, the Sam Davis Home and Museum, their website, samdavishome.org. You can also go there to learn about being a member of the Memorial Association and help the cause there and the great work they do for the boy hero of the Confederacy, Sam Davis. He is Tennessee's own, and we're proud to be able to claim him here in Tennessee. So go to Smyrna, pay a visit. You'll enjoy your time there. So thanks to our sponsors. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. We'll come back and we'll be talking with Sean Hill more about Confederate mascots. He's got a great program for us tonight and a presentation. We'll also have more of your comments and some other Tennessee Division news coming up right after this.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
And welcome back into our show this evening, Tuesday evening, June the 30th, the final day of the month of June. We're going to wrap it up with a hot one. And guys here living in an old house and 11-foot ceilings and an air conditioning unit that is not too old, but struggling on these hot days. My office is hot. We may have to do Kyle Thompson's t-shirt contest. And Daniel is right. Days like today, it might be a wet t-shirt contest. And, man, we have got to be careful. We may have to put that disclaimer up. We're getting in dangerous territory, but you don't want to see us that way.
Bringing that up, Commander. I'm going to play the disclaimer. I think that it is time that we do play it. Yes.
Yeah.
Not that I disagree with Daniel, but we just need to say we're stating our own opinions.
Yeah, definitely.
Does.
I think everybody agrees with our opinions. You don't want to see that tonight with us three old guys.
No.
So, again, we have ladies joining us, so we're going to be careful with that this evening. Floyd Harvey is also joining us tonight from another place, probably pretty warm right now, Hot Springs, Arkansas. Good to see him on with us tonight. And, of course, Linda Hudson saying on her bucket list for sure to see the Sam Davis home there and hear Jason tell that story. And he does a fantastic job of telling that story. So if you haven't been there, like Linda says, you need to make plans to go to Smyrna and to the Sam Davis home. Also joining us, look, there he is, James Patterson jumping in tonight. James, hope you're doing well. I see you've been traveling around, and he's getting ready to host in Fayetteville, Tennessee, the 2027 SCV Tennessee Division reunion. So I know he's got that scheduled, and the John R. Massey camp there, 152, going to be hosting that. You can go to TennesseeSCV.org. The details there, and, of course, their website as well to get your registration done and get that sent in and get that taken care of. I haven't got my registration sent in yet, guys, but I do have my room booked. So I would encourage you, if you're staying in Fayetteville, you need to go ahead and get that part.
Get your room.
Get that taken care of. So appreciate James coming on and telling us about the division reunion. Now let's jump back into our guest tonight, Sean Hill, who is the second lieutenant commander in the Tennessee Division. Does a great job in our organization. He does so much. And tonight he's going to give us a history presentation. We'll do something a little different. We usually are talking about a lot of just SCV stuff, but we're going to kind of stray from that topic tonight and do a little history. And something that I'm interested in learning more about is Confederate mascots. This should be an interesting conversation. Sean, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you and let you go as we need to, and we'll jump in as needed.
Well, before we do that, I want to tell y'all a little funny short story on homecoming and one of our sponsors, Larry McClooney. My mother-in-law comes up every year to homecoming. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law comes up to homecoming to help Mandy prepare food and the banana pudding like we served on Friday night to the workers. Okay, so she was listening to Larry talk, and after we come home that evening after the homecoming, she said, "You've got all of his books, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've read every one of them. I've known him for many years, and I've enjoyed his books." She said, "That last book, that Paradox of Freedom, I want to take it home and read it."
Oh.
So she borrowed my copy of Paradox of Freedom and took it home to Mobile, Alabama. And, but I thought that was pretty funny that she was someone that's not interested in history at all wants to read that book because of what it covers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic. And when Larry was on the show, guys, we could talk for hours about that. It's so interesting and learn so much. And again, if you haven't picked up that booksbylarry.com, you need to get a copy of Paradox of Freedom and read that.
Yeah.
So Sean, tell us about mascots. I know there was one in your area, but a lot of these others I'm not too familiar with, and this should be an interesting conversation tonight.
Well, this all started as a program just on Jake Donaldson, who is the infamous rooster from Cornersville. Well, he's not really from Cornersville, but he was associated with Cornersville, Tennessee, which is exit 22 on I-65, which is about 15 miles from my house or so. And about 20 years ago, when the Historical Society was looking to put up a Civil War trails marker in Marshall County, that was one of the ones that they put up. We have 4 of them in this county, but that was one of them. And it comes from a rooster that was bought at Camp Trousdale for the mess pot by that's the picture of Jake. And we'll talk a little bit more about that picture later on. That is what Jake looks like. Jake is also featured on my camp's Confederate hero card.
Yeah.
And some challenge coins that we've done in the past. But the rooster was bought by a Lieutenant Jerome McCandless, who was from Cornersville, 3rd Tennessee Company H, for a thin dime. And my buddy Derek gave me a 1853, I believe it is, thin dime so that I could pass it out when I do the program live and in person.
Very neat.
So that's just one of those neat things. But it was bought for a thin dime to go into the mess pot. And they figured out when they got him back that he was a game rooster. Okay, every Southern boy knows what a game rooster is. Especially in the mid-19th century, they would fight chickens.
Yeah.
And they figured out that Jake was a fighting rooster. So they actually would, how soldiers in camp are, they would actually fight him against other companies' roosters, and he won every match. He killed all the opponents because that's what they do. They fight to the death, especially back then.
Yeah.
So he kind of became the mascot, and it saved him from the cook pot. And so time rocks on, and they end up at Fort Donaldson. And that's kind of where his name was developed. His name, I guess, was Jake at first, and then they kind of named him Jake Donaldson because when the 3rd Tennessee surrendered at Fort Donaldson, they were sent to Chicago to prison camp. And they took the chicken with them. Well, the story goes, as they were being marched through Chicago to the prison camp, that Jake was kind of tucked into his owner's knapsack, and the crowd was booing at him and throwing stuff at him and stuff like that. And Jake, being curious, hopped up on his master's pack on his shoulder and started crowing at the crowd. Well, that encouraged the troops to give a rebel yell. So they were going through Chicago with this chicken on this lieutenant's shoulder that was crowing, and they were all doing the rebel yell. And that was documented in an 1897 Confederate veteran it was backed up by 10 veterans. And that's kind of what advanced the story of Jake so that we know it. It was featured in an 1894 Confederate veteran, and I've had the pleasure to actually put my hands on the actual magazine.
Very neat.
Because when I was Starnes Brigade commander, I was over at Sumner Cottingham camp. And one of the members there has a binder. One of the older members has a binder with a bunch of old Confederate veteran magazines that he was given by an even older member that's deceased now. And they've kind of been passed down in that camp. So I've actually held that copy of the veteran.
Very neat. Mm-hmm,
and then I acquired a PDF copy of it somewhere along the way. So what's interesting about that is it was also in a 1964, April 1964, Civil War Times. And a Colonel W.S. Nye, who was the editor, wrote a little article, and I have that magazine in my possession. It's behind me back on the bookcase. But Jake, the story went on that Jake in the prison camp met a hen, and they had 3 sons.
Oh.
They had and I don't want to get the names wrong. They had a Jeff Davis, a Stonewall Jackson, and a John Hunt Morgan.
Well.
So when the 3rd Tennessee was paroled and sent south, Jake went with them. I don't know about the hen. Supposedly the 3 sons went with them. And so
Jake survived the prison camp.
Jake survived the prison camp.
Well, so that he was really highly thought of that he didn't get eaten.
Which I find amazing. And some people have said, well, he belonged to an officer, so that would save him. Well, it was just a lieutenant. And if I was a colonel or something and a guy had a rooster and I was starving to death in a Yankee prison, I would go take that.
I guess he was the motivation that maybe it was motivation for those guys to
motivation
keep on and hang on.
So Jake was sent home because McCandless got a little leave, and that's how he ended up in Cornersville. We do not know the location that he is supposedly buried, but when he died in 1864, which was about old age for a rooster, he was buried in a handmade coffin with military honors.
Wow.
Somewhere in Cornersville. Now, if you get off at exit 22 and go into the actual town of Cornersville, the markers in that little city park, I know Jason's probably been there 1,000 times, and there's a Civil War Trails marker. There's a concrete statue. Concrete statue of Jake that is in that little park. But he's been featured in Civil War Times, and he's been featured in Confederate Veteran. Now, to that painting, that is a 13 by 16.5-inch painting. McCandless had that painting commissioned and would carry it to the Confederate Veteran reunions. And I've seen documentation where he had it in Nashville at one of the reunions. And then people were saying, yeah, they remembered the chicken when they were in the 3rd Tennessee Company H. And that's kind of how it all got started. I have been told that the original is at Fort Donelson. The original, McCandless never married. And it went to some of his nephews, and eventually ended up in one of his nephews that was a Supreme Court justice for the state of Tennessee at one time, and head of the historical commission. Let me see.
Interesting.
His name. I have to look because I'm not good at remembering names. Y'all know that. Let's see.
So that original painting is, you think it's at Fort Donaldson?
Yeah, it's at Fort. I've been told it's at Fort Donaldson. It used to hang over the door in the old building, but it was moved when they moved everything out to redo the visitor center. They moved it into storage. Now I don't know where it's at now, but
Yeah, when we're there in August, we're gonna have to. We'll get. Kyle's
check it
probably
out.
on with us, see if we can find out where that's at. That'd be neat to see that day.
Yeah. Let's see. It was George McCandless. He was Attorney General of the state of Tennessee in the 1960s and served on the Supreme Court from 1969 to 1992. And
wow.
And he had the painting preserved and kind of touched up by professionals, and then that's how it ended up being donated to the museum at Fort Donaldson.
Interesting story. So Jake has descendants out there somewhere.
Has descendants probably in Cornersville somewhere. And that story, of course, there's a long drawn out version if you really, had time, but we get the high points. But that story is very interesting to children, and Kyle said we'll look into it. But we've done a lot with the recruiting with that story because it draws in a lot of people.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't have a lot of those stories, so we've learned about Jake Donaldson now. Who else do you have, Sean? There's several of these mascots.
Well, the second one that I would like to talk about is another famous one, 43rd Mississippi, a camel named Old Douglas. And there is his headstone in Mississippi. According to my research, Old Douglas came into Mobile, Alabama in 1853 when they wanted to experiment with using camels for agricultural work. And it was purchased by William Hargrove. And then it was given by then First Lieutenant William Hargrove to Colonel W.S. Moore of the 43rd Mississippi. And they would take this camel around with them and use it for hauling baggage and stuff like that. And it had a bad habit of, they would tie it with a chain to keep it from breaking away from them in camp. And it had a bad habit of breaking the chain and running wild through the camp. Well, you know what the horses thought of a camel running through there. And there was documented stories of the camel getting loose, breaking its chain, getting loose. And then it would go through the camp, steering all the horses. I had a couple of horses get killed one time because of it. And it was just, there's several cases. And there was a case where they had him tied up at a battle, and he broke his chain and went to the firing line, and the Yankees, of course, shot him. And that was the end of Old Douglas. But he is famous in Mississippi. And it was just, it's a funny, that story is a little bit better documented than Jake, I would assume, from all I've read. And it's just, I could imagine trying to keep a camel. They're famous for being cantankerous, kind of like me, and trying to keep that camel under control while they're under fire and artillery's coming in and everything like that. But that is that's quite an interesting story.
Old Douglas, and there's a photograph of his stone there.
Killed during the siege of Vicksburg. And Cedar Hill Cemetery in Vicksburg is where that marker is at.
Very neat.
Next time I'm down that way, I will stop and take a picture of that marker. Last time I was there, I did not know about the camel, but I will take.
Yeah, that'll be a good visit. Well, you've got another one here I see that looks a little like a dog.
It is a dog. That is the Orphan Brigade, the 2nd Kentucky. I don't know if that's actually, of course, that's a hand-drawn picture, and I don't know if that's actually him or not, but it is associated with him. It was just a kind of a mutt dog like we all had when we were kids. And it was 2nd Kentucky, and he would always go with the unit into battle with a small haversack around his neck that contained his rations. And let's see. The 2nd Kentucky was captured also at Fort Donelson and spent 6 months in the prison camp in Indiana's Camp Morton. And
so my ancestor was in Camp Morton at that time, who was captured at Fort Donelson. So he may have got to meet him.
Yeah.
Very neat.
And they spent 2 years in, actually spent 6 months in the prison camp. He spent a further 2 years with the 2nd Kentucky and went missing. It was presumed that he was killed in action, and that would have been around 1864.
Very neat.
But that's pretty interesting that your ancestor went to the same.
Yeah, he may have got to meet him. He may have been running around up there.
Yeah.
Small world shows how small a world it is, how we're all connected to these. Here's a cute little fellow there, Sean.
Yeah, that's a modern painting of a Jack Russell. The Richmond Howitzers had a Jack Russell, and if anybody's ever been around a Jack Russell, you know how temperamental and cantankerous they are. My sister has one, and my dad has one. Both of them have bit me. But they had a Jack Russell Terrier named Stonewall Jackson, white coat with black spots. And they said he was a very fast learner. He would participate in roll call with a pipe between his teeth and would stand to attention when his name was called. He would remain at attention until roll call was over. He appeared to relish battle and the roar of the cannons. When he heard a cannon shot, he would leap up and down and start yelling and barking. He was placed in an empty ammo box for shelter during the incoming fire, and he was coveted by other regiments of the Army of Northern Virginia and was the subject matter of a couple of kidnapping attempts. And rumor has it, one of them was successful, and I won't name any names here, but supposedly it was Louisiana troops that stole him from his original unit, and they never got him back. So, but that's an interesting one too.
Well, here's a neat comment, Sean. I see from Daniel here. During the 1864 battle there, he mentions the Orphan Brigade under heavy fire rescued a stranded kitten. It's neat, these stories out there, how they kept these animals with them.
Yeah, and you know, Southern boys being 90% farm boys, I don't doubt it. I've read in my research about all kind of crows and and dogs, and I haven't really heard of that many cats, but dogs and Jake's pretty unusual being a chicken because
Mm-hmm.
reading some of the books that we've all read. My great grandfather, that was a sergeant in the 48th Alabama, their book on them, their history says that they were barefooted when they went to Fredericksburg in the snow to reinforce Fredericksburg, Virginia, and they were starving to death. They were so hungry that they thought their stomach thought their throat had been cut.
Wow.
So, and I mean, it's amazing that the some of these mascots, especially a chicken or something that you could eat, would have survived.
Did survive that during that time. Well, here's another one here. Who is this, Sean?
That is a hen, and Greg Newsom has a book on Nellie the War Chicken. Nellie was Robert E. Lee's hen that would lay him 2 eggs every morning for breakfast. And he would always request, from his cook that he had his 2 eggs for breakfast. And apparently during the Gettysburg campaign, Nellie got away from the cook and got lost.
Oh.
And he wouldn't even, the story goes that General Lee wouldn't even move the command section until they found his hen. And they found her mixed in with some other tents and other stuff. And they kept it for a long time. Like I said, that particular part of it happened during the Gettysburg campaign. Later on, according to Greg's book, they were scheduling a conference between Lee and his corps commanders. Well, the cook couldn't find anything to feed them, any meat to feed them with their meal, so he killed the hen and fried her. And they said that Lee was not happy.
I bet.
That.
Your pet hen and lays good eggs for breakfast. No, you don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting that these, they became pets in a way. But I guess they provided many of them an inspiration to the soldiers and to the men.
Yeah. There's a bunch of strange mascots out there. Jason was showing the book earlier about Jason, I'll say mule, but it's not really entitled Mule. So I bought that book during the book fair. It's written for children, but it's a great little story. And that's just one of the cases of mascots. There's also other mascots out there. There was a Arkansas Cavalry unit that had a wildcat. There was a Confederate drummer that owned a squirrel that would dance on the drum during off hours, so to speak. And I can just, some of the craziness.
I guess people did what they did. They stayed entertained with them too.
Yeah, and there was a Union report, a battle in West Liberty, Kentucky. And the Union report listed 34 prisoners captured, 54 horses, 10 mules, and 1 large bear.
Large bear.
So the bear was that group, that Confederate infantry group's mascot. He was tame.
Just an interesting. Daniel put the Wisconsin Infantry's famous Screaming Eagle mascot.
Yeah, Old Abe. I've read about that one too. I just don't include it in my Confederate program.
It's interesting though. There's so many of these out there.
There's a lot of them out there, and I'm sure there's going to be more books and stuff in the future on this, as because the way things are connected now, information flows more freely than it did,
Mhm.
even when, well, me and Jason were younger. You know, John was probably still in elementary school.
I may have been at that time. Maybe. Sean, this has been interesting. Maybe you need to write a book on this. I'm thinking this would be a good topic for you.
I'm working on a book, but it's not on this.
Okay. Well, this may be your second book. Maybe that's your second one coming.
Maybe.
This has been very interesting, guys. I've enjoyed this. Jason, man, this is any questions you've got for Sean on this? I've learned a lot, some stuff I didn't know about.
No. He mentioned Jake Donaldson. I will tell you, when they dedicated the marker there for Jake Donaldson, I was there with an artillery piece, and we were firing the volley, and that was the only time I ever had a guy on the crew that actually said, "Are we firing a volley for a rooster?" I said, "No, we're firing one for Jake Donaldson." I go, "Who was he?" He goes, "He was a mascot."
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because you don't expect to hear that. I like Daniel's comment there. The Confederate soldiers named it a Yankee buzzard, had a bounty on it as well.
Yeah.
You
know, it's probably been 15 years or more now, but we had a camp t-shirt with Jake Donaldson on the back of it, 3rd Tennessee Company H, littlest Confederate. And
yes.
I never wore mine. It's still in the closet. Of course, I probably couldn't get into it now. I've added 1 or 2 X's to the large. So, but
now, Sean, maybe we need to get a mascot uniform for this. I mean, I'm thinking this is a thing that comes out at the division reunion every year. Somebody comes out in the Jake Donaldson mascot uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Might get some interest. That's perfect for Derek Glover tonight. That's Derek's new role. He's the mascot of the Tennessee division. He'll have a comment to that, or he's going to have a graphic made or something, somebody in one of those or something.
He's already made a graphic. He sent it to me today.
Oh.
When this was released that we were doing this, maybe he can send it to you, and it is him as a chicken.
Oh.
That's interesting.
This
needs
rooster.
To be right now. Need to get that and put it on the show right now.
Yeah, we need that. Is it? Let's see where I think I've seen it. Have I seen that? Let me see if I can find it here. We'll take our next break, Sean. We'll kind of wrap up here this segment. Let's take a break and we'll see if we can find that image that Derek created and put it out there.
Yes.
I like his comment. He said, "Let's do it." So I'm thinking he's agreeing to be the mascot for the Tennessee division.
He is.
He is going to be the Jake Donaldson.
Let's do it. Yep.
If he's agreed to it, we'll find one. I bet you we can find one. Have one made.
Yeah.
Are there any sutlers that make rooster uniforms?
I'm sure we can probably make one.
Guys, it's been interesting. Of course, I like that right there. Some Confederate mascot T-shirts. Good idea.
I want to congratulate Al on his retirement. I believe I saw an announcement on that today.
Well, congratulations there as well.
Yes.
Well, Sean, this has been a good program. I've enjoyed this. It's been very interesting.
It's on the Speakers Bureau, and I'm available to come do it. I think I'm supposed to be at Jason's camp. September, October, or something.
You're 1 month, and Mandy's the next month.
I believe Mandy goes for. I wrote it down that Mandy went first. So
she's August, and you're September.
Okay, that's right.
Well, I knew this would, as we get ready to take our break, I knew Linda would go and jump in here. Jason, she's recommending you be the mascot.
She said doesn't get the mascot assignment.
Does it say doesn't? Did I read that wrong? Doesn't get the mascot. I thought it said does. Oh, I'm reading that wrong. I guess I'm trying to assign Jason to it as well.
Yeah, she does say doesn't. I had to put my glasses back on.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about that mule we saw earlier, him being that mascot. But again,
I'll have to get that one. I've already got a T-Rex outfit.
That's right. I'm forgetting about the T-Rex.
Yeah, I've already got a T-Rex outfit.
I'm gonna tell you a funny story, a little library story before we take this break. So our theme this year in the summer reading program is dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. So we had a lady in. It's okay to tell this. So she's helping these kids the different names of the dinosaurs and going through them. And we get to one, and she calls it, our children's librarian is kind of standing off to the side, and she calls it a Trex. She said, "That's a Trex." We all struggle on some of those names, but we thought that's pretty good, a Trex. So Jason's a Trex.
Yeah, Trex. I'll take that.
There you go. Well, let's go ahead and take a break, guys. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock. We'll come back. We'll talk a couple of other things that's been going on in the Tennessee division. So we'll be right back after this as Tennessee Tuesday continues this evening. Thank y'all for watching.
Was your great-grandfather a traitor or a patriot? Today's politically correct are trying hard to take away the heritage of the brave Confederate soldiers who fought and died for their land. But one thing is certain, they can't change history. Those Confederate soldiers were fighting for the same reason soldiers fight today. They were fighting against homeland invasion. We believe that the desecration of the bravery, patriotism, and honor of those men should not be allowed. They were outmanned and outsupplied, but they were never outfought. They were proud men who believed in fighting to protect their dignity, their homes, and their families. If you're the male descendant of a Confederate soldier, we'd welcome you to join with us in the preservation of that heritage. We're the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Check us out on the internet at scv.org or call us at 800-MY-SOUTH. That's 800-697-6884. Sons of Confederate Veterans, dedicated to preserving the reputation of men like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and your great-grandfather.
And welcome back into Tennessee Tuesday, June the 30th, the final day of the month. We get ready to get into July. A great program tonight. Sean Hill has brought us, as we've talked about, Confederate mascots. We thank you for commenting. And, of course, let's see. Derek has sent me that image that he made here. And there is Derek as the rooster.
I don't need to see that. Yeah.
That's something you will dream about that tonight.
Yeah, that's nightmare scenario right there. And I think it has to do with the flowing mane.
Yeah, I noticed the hair. That's the first thing stood out, is the hair to me. Some of the last of the Mohicans type look it has. Thank you, Derek, for doing that. That's great.
Yeah, that's funny, Derek. Way to go. Yeah.
Well, we won't show that. We have to watch the comments. And we just had a great one that showed up there in the chat tonight. We'll go ahead and remove that. Yeah, that wasn't appropriate. Let's say hello to a couple of others. Joey Nolan, I see he's down in New Orleans tonight. Down in New Orleans. Hope he's doing well down that way. Let's see also. Charles LeRae said, is that video available? I think he's talking about the SCV commercial there. Is that the one you're talking about, Charles? If it is, I can get that for you. I think I've got it on YouTube as well, but I can get you a copy of that if you want to use it. I think that's what he's talking about, that video there.
That is a great commercial. It really is.
That's the late, great Jack Parnell out of Memphis. He was on WMC Channel 5 for years, voiceover artist, even into his 80s, in the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. A good friend of the SCV, and did that ad back in the day when he was charging big dollars for that voiceover. He donated that to us, so we appreciate him there. Derek Glover says, let's jump to that one first. Things are jumping on me here. Derek, Chat GPT is fun. Yes, I love using that. You can have some fun with that. It's very helpful. AI is good, and AI can also be dangerous if you're not careful. Yes, and Charles does say that video. Yes, I will get that to you. You're more than welcome to share it, and I hope folks would share that out. I think it's a great commercial there.
It really
For
is.
us, let's see. Danny Langston made another comment. Let's see. I don't think he is here, so I nominate Mark Buchanan for the mascot. So now Mark has been brought up to be a mascot.
Well, we just found out tonight that there were multiple units with multiple mascots. So I think we could easily come up with a half a dozen people.
So if Jake Donaldson, the rooster, has been chosen, what is Mark going to be? Sean, what do we pick him to be? I'm careful with this because this is dangerous territory we're in. I was going to say it could be a dog, but man, I don't want to call Mark a dog.
No, and I don't want to call him Nelly the hen. So, I mean,
Mark can be a good hen. Let's let Mark be the hen.
Okay. Mark could be the hen.
This is usually our show is very serious. This is the silliest we've been, I think, on Tennessee Tuesday, but good conversation. I hope everybody's enjoying the show. Again, we're thankful that you're with us each week. Again, Jason's going to make sure I get that disclaimer of, since we're calling people hens and roosters and dogs tonight. If you join in the middle of the show tonight, make sure you go back to the beginning and understand we're talking about Confederate mascots and we're picking people for mascots. But there's our disclaimer. These are our views and solely our own.
Yes.
And I'm going to leave one more and then I'm moving on. Derek says he'd be a great mayor. Yeah, we're leaving. That's it. We're moving on, guys. That's good.
Yes.
That's good stuff. So some other things folks have been doing a little more serious in the Tennessee division. We want to I promise you, we're doing good stuff. Of course, here's the Frank Gracie camp there. They've had a few events up that way in Clarksville. There's a recent event they were at that they shared on our division Facebook group, and we wanted to make sure to mention those guys. They are out there honoring our ancestors. So good to see some of the members from the Frank Gracie Camp 225 in Clarksville, Tennessee. Also, this one sent into us here, the Huddleston Poor Camp. They're in Byrdstown, had a little gathering there, and you see some of their members and other family and friends that joined there for that event. So I like it. Their flag, I think, Sean, you said something about that flag, I think, the other day. It was you, I believe. That's a very nice flag they've got put together. It is. Their camp, and they're a fairly new camp, and been in the last couple of years. They found and got organized. So a shout out to them tonight on Tennessee Tuesday, and I appreciate all their work. A couple of things we need to mention. Then I want Jason, if he can, to give us a brief update tonight on things happening at the national headquarters there at Elm Springs with the Jefferson Davis Monument we mentioned at the beginning, and then, of course, the Forest Equestrian Plaza. It's getting closer to being reconstructed. A lot has gone into this, but coming up very, very soon here in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be in Lexington, Kentucky at the 31st Annual Sons of Confederate Veterans National Reunion that's going to be in Lexington this year. If you have not got your registration in, you still have time to register for the business sessions there. Again, the food meals have already closed out there, and they have those set, but there's still plenty to do in Lexington and be around and come to the business meetings, and it's an election year. So it's an important time on Saturday as votes will be cast for those that are seeking office in our national organization. That was 131scv.org. If you haven't registered, you can go there and get all the details you need. Again, guys, I know we're all three going to be there. It's going to be a good time. Tennessee Tuesday is going to have a booth set up in there this year, so you'll be able to take a couple of things home, learning more about the program that we do here. Again, we mentioned there's going to be voting. You guys make it, Jason or Sean, if I mess up. On Saturday, we will do the voting, correct?
Yes. Yes, we'll be voting on, as you know, Saturday morning, you'll have the Army meetings. They generally kick off at 8 o'clock. That's when the new Army commander and councilman will be elected. When we start the business session, those winners will be announced. Then we'll have elections for Commander-in-Chief and Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief. Then we have 5 amendments to vote on, and then we will have the resolutions. So Saturday is going to be a lot of voting going on.
A lot. Be prepared to do what needs to be done and get it done so we can keep that moving along on Saturday, because it takes some time. And you need your credentials as well.
Yes. And you can go to the SCV 131 website and download the credentials form. Make sure you have to have that, or you're not going to be able to vote.
And it's really easy, guys. If you haven't downloaded that, it's simple to fill out. It's just 2 or 3 lines.
Yes.
That need to be done.
Just say your camp name, number, and when you'll go through the credentials, they'll tell you how many votes you have, your camp has, and then you know, whoever's going to be the delegate will be written on there. So, and just get your camp commander, your camp adjutant to sign it off if you're not the camp commander or adjutant. And then, you know, you have to have the credentials for them. Yes.
Yep. Besides that, it's easy to do.
Yes. And I wanted to remind you that if you're coming on the 11th, that Saturday the 11th, that is when they're having the free barbecue. That is going to be at the Bottoms house on the Parable battlefield.
That's the Saturday before, correct, Jason?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is the Saturday before. That's the 11th. If you come to that, I want to remind you about the 2 hogs. If you were at the Forest Boyhood Home, you got to eat bacon. Okay. What I mean by that is they got 2 hogs. They started a year ago, fattened them up, got them as winglings, and just started fattening them up. They had bacon at the Forest Boyhood Home. They brought about 100 pounds of meat out there for that. And then they will have at the on the 11th, they will have ham. Ham will be the other hog that they will serve, and they are estimating his weight's going to be around 270 pounds. Now, they hand fed these two hogs all winter long. I talked with Chris Hawkins, and he says he was skating around out there minus in 0 degree weather, skating around on 12 inches of ice to feed. They keep these two hogs fed and to give them water. So they're doing what our ancestors did years ago. Yeah. You know, when they came to a reunion, they had a hog in the ground. You know, they did that. And Chris Hawkins and those gentlemen in the Bluegrass Brigade, they have brought back something that our ancestors did. And if you were at the boyhood home, you got the barbecue from them, you got to eat bacon. Now, if you come there on the 11th, you're going to get to eat ham. And those were the two hogs that they raised and fed themselves.
So are those mascots? Can we call them Confederate mascots?
Yes, they would be considered Confederate mascots.
We're eating our mascots.
Yes. In fact, I probably have a picture of ham and bacon somewhere. I'll see if I can round it up and get that to you.
Yeah.
Because I remember showing it years ago. Well, not years ago, months ago when we first got it. Yeah.
Man, it makes it hard to eat it if you have to look at the poor guy.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't want to see him before I eat him.
I have a funny story about that real quick if you want to hear it.
Sure.
My great-grandfather raised hogs for killing, you know. And this was in the 60s before I was born. But my mom came down from Nashville to Alabama to stay with her grandfather, my great-grandfather. They had a pig the summer before that was named Arnold. Well, they showed up at Christmas and sat down at the breakfast table one morning and started eating and was eating bacon. And my mom says, well, I'm going to go out and see Arnold. And my great-granddad, her granddad said, no, you're not. We've been eating him. That's him. And my mom is about a 10-year-old girl just had a fit over that, you know.
I bet.
We could do the same thing.
Yeah.
But what time does that start, Jason?
No, I think it starts around noon on Friday. Saturday.
Saturday around noon. Well, Kyle's still in the comments. He might jump in and tell us.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and mention this. Speaking of Kyle, we're talking about Kentucky. This is coming up. We're partnering with them. Kyle is really doing all the legwork to make this happen. Last year we were at Fort Donaldson and we're coming back again. This is going to be a big event, guys. And talking with Kyle, we're expecting a lot of folks at this. They've helped us out with parking this year, so that'll be a little better. You can see who some of the special guest speakers will be, different ones from Tennessee Division, Kentucky Division, Mechanized Cavalry, and other heritage organizations will also be bringing greetings that day. And you can see the sponsorships down there on the bottom of all the ones that will be represented there and others. It's going to be a great day. The captain, Jack Henson, they'll be giving a tour of some of his sites there that's in that area. So if you've never seen any of that, that'll be a fun day. That's coming up on August the 1st, and that will be starting 11 o'clock around when we'll get set up, and 11:30. The program will begin. It'll last a little while. We have lots of things planned there at the Confederate Soldiers Monument at Fort Donaldson. So logistics, I know Kyle has been working on to get that all set up so we can get folks moved around as to where we got to go, to where the monument is, to where parking is. And again, the folks at Fort Donaldson National Battlefield there have been super helpful to make this happen. So
yes, and I want to give an update because I want to know what time the food was. The food will start at 5 o'clock, but you can be there throughout the day to go to the Bottoms house, but the food will start at 5 o'clock.
So we see where's the location of it, Jason?
It's the Bottoms House, Bottoms, the Bottoms House. It is on the Parable Valley. It's right by the Parable battlefield on the Hayes May Road. And they say that's going on all day, but the food will start at 5 o'clock.
And that's in Lexington, Kentucky at the National Reunion, the Saturday before the events get underway.
That will be the 11th at the Parable battlefield.
So we're still talking. I know we're kind of jumping around there, talking about Fort Donaldson now on August the 1st. There's a comment there from Kyle. Again, we're going to have folks represented from all the states. And again, he's really working hard on making this happen. So this is going to be a big deal on August the 1st at Fort Donaldson. So go ahead and make your plans. You're going to drive up to that event. If you're going to stay and you've been up in that area, there's not a lot of places to stay. So you may stay a little further out, but if you're looking for hotels and things, you might want to go ahead and get those booked now and to make your plans if you're not just driving in. So he says still needing folks from Texas, Virginia, and Arkansas. Would love to have everyone there. They haven't had a real union since 1933. So this will be neat to see everybody come together. It's going to be like a mini reunion. Excited about how this is going and how it's going to continue to develop. And thank you, Commander Kyle Thompson, for all your work there, making this happen in Fort Donaldson, Tennessee Division. Proud to be a part of it. He mentioned try Clarksville or Paris. That's what I was going to say. Those are a little further out, but those are going to be your locations. Probably the best to stay in if you're coming up that way and need to stay the night. So, Jason, as we get ready to wrap up, give us a quick update, if you can, on what's happening at National Headquarters in Columbia on the Jefferson Davis Monument. First, folks that are watching, that monument was put up a few years ago. It came from Memphis. It had some foundation issues on its new site, so it's been disassembled and it's set to the side as that foundation work is happening. And you got some updates there, Jason, of how that's progressing.
Oh, yes, sir, I do. We had, like I said, it was put up, and they left part of it on the sidewalk, and that's just a 4-inch sidewalk. It's not going to support anything like that. So 5 years we've had to take it down, and right now the work that we're having done, and because of what was already built there, with a lot of people wanted to come in and just pour something up, form it up and pour it. Yeah. But we're going to get in there, and you've probably seen some of the pictures I've had on Facebook. We're going to have to get all of that concrete and rebar and all that out of there to rebuild all of that back. We finally got ourselves a really good bid. We've had a couple of bids. One of the biggest problems we're having here in Middle Tennessee is we have a building boom where there's a lot of houses being built here. In fact, between my house and Columbia, which, I live 12 miles from Elm Springs. So between my house and Elm Springs and 2 subdivisions, they're building 800 homes. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that we're running into, and they're building all over Murray County here. So it's been tough to get people on site. We've had people say, yeah, we can get to it, but it's going to be the fall before we can start. We had somebody that we talked to about the plaza, which is the burial site for Nathan Bedford Forrest and his wife. And he said, it'll be springtime next year before I have my concrete crew ready. Yeah. So for that, we would even have to wait to even next year to even get started. But we're still getting on bids. In fact, I'll talk about that. We are getting a bid on Thursday from somebody else, because we've submitted bid packets. Submitted 7 bid packets for the Jeff Davis. We've got ourselves one good bid, and we're working through the contract right now, because there's a contract that has to be signed. And as soon as that's done, he's going to get started. And he told me today that he could have it done in 2 weeks. So if we get the contract worked out, and he might even start tomorrow. I'm waiting to see the contract. We have an attorney working on that. Once we get that contract done, he'll get started. So we might or might not have the concrete work done. I don't know if we'll have the Jeff Davis statue put back up yet or not, but we will have. But we've got our bid, and we're starting work on it. So you're going to have the Jeff Davis statue back up here pretty soon. I'm going to say during the month of July, it should all be completed and back up. Now, concerning the burial site, Nathan Bedford Forrest and his wife, we've had one bid submitted to us. We've talked to several other bids. Lee Miller and myself are working on this, and we've got a Forest Last Ride committee. And we have found out from the big people that have come in and give bids, they're subcontracting it out and then adding their fees on. So Lee and I are starting to subcontract it out ourselves. And we're going to get one bid to do the groundwork, and we're going to get that on Thursday. So that's the only way that we can get bids. And the reason we can get a bid, but I'll just tell you straight. We sent packets out in April, near the end of April. and we asked them to have us bids submitted by May 31st.
Mm-hmm.
We did not get anybody by May 31st. We did not get any one of them until the 12th of June was the first time that we've had a bid. The other ones keep coming back and doing RFIs, which are requests for information.
Yeah.
And we do more information. They have questions. They come up. And, when you do that, you have conversations with them. You're talking to them. And they, oh, well, it'll be next year before I could do it.
Yeah.
It'll be next year before I could get started. Okay. From the gentleman that we're talking to right now, that's going to do the groundwork and the concrete work, I'm optimistic I'm optimistic that this could go somewhere real quick. We already have a crane company that can put the pieces back together. And we have used them several times already. So if we can get one company to come in that'll do all of our groundwork, pour our concrete, pour the pads, pour the sidewalks, then we'll be able to come in and start setting the structure. But
it's a lot to get together.
And, people say, well, we haven't heard anything. Well, we went 7 weeks waiting on bids.
Yeah.
We didn't hear from anybody on anything.
That's the way it is right now.
And the thing was, we didn't send it to them, leave them alone. We sent them things since then. And I got a request to send one to somebody else, and I sent that about a week ago, and I haven't heard back from them as well. So, so that would be the 6th bid packet on the Equestrian Plaza. So we've got 7 out that was on Jeff Davis, and now 6 out on the Forest Plaza. So once we get this wrapped up now, as you know, Thursday night is Commander's comments.
Yeah.
And Commander Kennedy asked me to come on and give an update then. So if you watch Thursday night, you might hear a little bit more information because things are going to be going on. But, things moved a whole lot Monday and Tuesday. So things are moving again. And the guy told us he will have us a bid on Thursday. And if we get that bid on Thursday, then it'll be straight to the GEC, and then the GEC will vote. And we've already talking to the crane company about coming in and doing it. So we're just having to piece all the pieces together, and the best we can do at this point. But like I said, we sent the packets out near the end of April, and it was 7 weeks later before we received anything. And it's not that we were being quiet. We just didn't hear, and we kept sending them stuff, Yeah,
it's part of it. It's the way it is. Like you mentioned, that big building boom, it's happening everywhere. It takes a while to get construction crews.
Yes.
Sometimes just to get people to bid, that is a challenge right now.
Yes. Well, I brought a guy on site and talked to him and showed him what we was doing. He's going, no, that's more than I could probably get my crew to do it. He said, but I've got the bid to pour the sidewalks and driveways in a subdivision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is he going to beat his crew to death on this for 2 weeks, or just, he's got set work for concrete and sidewalks, So.
Well, good information, Jason. Thank you for the, here's a question here Joey's got. Jason or Sean, one of y'all jump in. Are members required to have their SCV membership card with them for national? I don't know if I've ever had to present it before.
You won't have to show it. You will be asked for your SCV ID.
Yeah, your ID number.
Yes. Now, if you're filling out your credentials form, and when you fill out your registration form, you had to put your SCV ID on there. Yeah. So you were proving then that you were a member, but I've never been carded. That makes sense.
Well, good question. Well, guys, we've been going an hour and a half tonight. We thank everybody for watching with us, staying on with us this evening. Some good comments, good questions tonight. And one last thing we'll share is Daniel did share there is the address for folks that are talking about the Bottoms House there in Perryville, Kentucky. Again, it'll be happening the Saturday before that barbecue there, before the National Reunion. So for folks that were asking about that address, there is where that is going to be if you're going up early. Again, that's 11 o'clock. I believe we saw that time was on the Saturday before, which is, what's that date? The 11th? Is it the 11th?
The date is the 11th. and you can start gathering at the Bottoms house. You can go to the Perryville battlefield because it's right by the Perryville battlefield, and it's actually on part of the battlefield. But then you can, but they will start serving the barbecue, and you can start eating ham at 5 o'clock.
There you go. It's going to be a good time. Well, guys, it's time to wrap up this evening. Sean, thank you so much for your program tonight. Very interesting as we learned about Confederate mascots. Jason, thank you for the update on things happening at our national headquarters. A lot of projects going on, and, of course, across the Tennessee division. We thank you for watching, of course, Tennessee Tuesday. And as we wrap up tonight, there are other programs on the network besides just Tennessee Tuesday that we want to encourage you to watch. And let's go through that list, Jason. You've got the list of coming up tomorrow night. Our friend Sean McFall.
Yes, sir. On Wednesday night, Look Around Florida with the Florida Man, Mr. Sean McFall. That will start 7 p.m. Central Time. And on Thursday night, the first Thursday night of each month is Commander's Comments. And that is when Commander-in-Chief Donnie Kennedy will come on. This will actually be his last Commander's Comments. So he'll be on, of course, like I told you earlier, he's asked me to come on to give an update. Now, the other Thursday nights, they have Look Around the Confederation, and John has been on those and hosted them, and I have as well. That is just where you're just talking about everything going on about the Sons of Confederate Veterans. You can send all of your information in to scvyouth@gmail.com, and for that stuff to be put on the show. I've got that email address. I was going to pop it up here. Here it is. If your SCV camp has done something, you send them pictures and tell them your camp name, your camp number, and the people in the photo. If you can give them that information, then what they'll do is that'll show up on Look Around the Confederation, and that is on Thursday night starting at 7 o'clock. And on Friday night, Friends of Douglas Southall Freeman. Our friend David Pope, who we've seen on here tonight, he hosts that. That also starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. We don't have anything on Friday night. But on, excuse me, we have that on Friday night, but on Saturday night, we don't have anything. Excuse me. Friday night, we have Friends of Douglas Southall Freeman. Saturday night, we don't have anything. Sunday night, we have Hardy on History with the great Michael C. Hardy. That one starts at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and that is a fantastic show. And then on Monday night, it's the flagship show, the one that started it off, SCV Chat, and that's at 7 p.m. Central Time right here on this network.
David left us a comment there. You can see that he's doing something special before. He's never done before. So on Friday night, you can see there the comment from David Pope on the Friends of Douglas Southall Freeman Facebook group there. You can follow David. Again, he does a great job on his programs. And again, we thank you for watching tonight. We'll be back with you again next Tuesday. And then let's see the Tuesday. Let's look at our calendar, guys. I want to make sure I've got this right here. Next Tuesday, we will have a program. And then we will probably, most likely, take a week off on the 14th. Because that will be National Reunion Week. I don't plan to do anything on the 14th, but we will do some stuff on our channel. And was talking with Moose about some ideas to do something from National Reunion. I know they'll be having some things on SCV Chat. We may try to all to get together and do some stuff while we're there. It's going to be a good time. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to being back with you next week. I do hope everybody has a great rest of this week. You can follow us on our different platforms. Tennessee Tuesday on Facebook. We have a private group you can join as well if you're interested in learning more about the show. Also, our YouTube page, you can follow us. TennesseeTuesday.com will take you where you can see past episodes. And we look forward to being back with you next week. So I hope everybody has a great rest of this week. Take care, my friends, and God bless you.
Good show.